Okay, hi everybody. So today we are going to make a embroidered bird decoration. So to start off the process, I have some pictures here of some parakeets and some lovebirds, just for some inspiration. These ones, there are some really nice colours. There's blues, greys, yellows, oranges, and some greens. So they're quite nice and they're quite decorative. So I'm going to draw my bird that I can see here. So again, I'm going to start off with my simple shapes at the top of my page, just to remind me of what I'm going to be looking for when I'm drawing the shapes of the bird I see in front of me. So step one, I need to look and respond to the bird in terms of its shape. So I'm going to start off with the body, and I can see that as an oval. I can see the bird's head, again, an oval. I can connect them together, like so. I'm going to draw an eye shape, which is an oval, and I can see it has a circle inside and a little shine on, a round eye, like that. I can see the beak is a curved shape, like so, on the parrot, and I can see along here the bottom of the beak as well. The wing is almost a triangle shape, but it's sort of a curved triangle shape, like so. So I am going to try and draw it in like that, and the body line here is sort of disappearing, so I will rub that out at a later stage. The other wing is behind that, and it's overlapping behind the front wing. And I can see that that connects down to there. The tail then, I can see it's fanning out, but it's almost a triangle shape where each feather then is separated like so. So I can see again there's a shape here on the bird's wing, and again the feather on the wings are long oval shapes. So I think I'm ready now to start rubbing out some of the shapes. So I can rub out those shapes there. I can rub out that shape here and there. I might rub out that line. I can redraw that later. I might rub out that line as well, like so. And here as well. I'm going to rub those away. I can see the bird's feet are sort of triangle shapes like that. Now, you can see that that shape goes underneath, and then the back feathers are like so. I can see some little feather textures like that, and I now have a nice clear drawing. I can see there's some feather shapes here. And some nice textures. There's some textures there, and again long wing feathers like so, and I can see there's some little feather shapes there. Now that now is looking kind of like the bird, and it's a stylized version of it. But you can see how it relates to the bird in the photograph there. Now I'm going to put this to one side, and I'm going to put my reference photo here, and I'm going to use that now to maybe design what I want my bird decoration to look like. So I think I might make my bird with a round body, and I'm going to draw my shapes here: circle, oval, triangle, rectangle, square, and irregular shape. If I'm going to have a round body for my bird, I'm going to have a round head, and I'm going to have them joining together like so. I'm going to give my bird a sort of a shaped tail like that, and I'm going to give it an oval wing like so. I'm going to give it a triangle beak and a round eye. Like so. Now I might give some texture on the wing and long wing feathers and an eye like that, and I could do the same on the tail. I could add in some wavy shapes like that. So that's the bird that I may make out of fabric and fibre, and I'm going to have a little loop on it so that I can hang it up. This could become a Christmas decoration, or it could just be a decoration for the house for whenever. It could be just something nice, and you could maybe do a series of birds in different multicolours, just make a mobile from them, or this could become a pin cushion of some sort. So there's my design. I now need to turn my design into a pattern, and the pattern is going to be using a piece of paper to make a template for these shapes. So this is going to be the size for my bird. So perhaps I could use this piece of tape here to create a circle shape for me. Like so. And then I can maybe draw a circle head. And I'm going to connect the two together. And then for the tail, I can make a nice big shape like that. So there's a very streamlined body shape. For my wing, I'm going to make that a separate part, like so. And then my beak, perhaps a triangle like that. And then the rest of the bird, I can use assorted shapes and bits and bobs to decorate it. So I'm going to just move these over here to one side. So as you can see here, the materials I have embroidery thread, I have a pin cushion with needles, I have a little tin of buttons, I have some felt and some cotton, I have assorted colours of ribbon, and I have 2 scissors, I have a paper scissors, and I have a fabric scissors. Now the difference between a paper scissors and a fabric scissors is a fabric scissors will cut fabric. As you can see, they are very sharp, and a paper scissors, this was an old fabric scissors, but someone cut paper with it, and now it's not as sharp. You can see it's got glue on the sides of it, and it was just used for cutting paper, and it's just not as sharp. You need your scissors to stay sharp, and if you have fabric cutting scissors, they can only be used to cut fabric with. So I'm going to use my paper scissors here to cut out my template. My wing. My body, and then my beak. I'm going to start off by using the cream colour here for the base of my bird. And the main body colour is going to be this cream. So I'm going to use my pattern to position. Now I have waste here if I position it that way, so maybe let's see if we can get, yeah, that was the best positioning. So you can see here I now have as best a position as I can to use up this rectangle of felt. If I just position it here, I maybe can't fit my wing shape in there. So if I position my body like this, I have lots of excess there, and I would try and get my wing here so that I have all of this extra felt for another project at a later date. So I'm just going to get a pin, and I'm going to pin my 2 layers of fabric and my pattern together, like so. Okay, now I can use, usually it would be normal to maybe use a piece of chalk. However, a pencil will work just fine. This is a tiny piece of tailor's chalk that I have, and it is the best thing to use. And that comes away from the fabric later on. And as you can see, it gives me a nice trace of the shape of that bird template. So now I'm going to take away my pattern for my body, and then I'm going to position my wing shape in here, and I am going to then trace around that. Like so. I'll just put my chalk down, and I will put that to one side, and then I'm going to pin my wing back together, and I'm going to pin the bird together as well. So I might even use 3 pins in this because it's quite large, and it is very important to use pins to join your pattern shapes together. So I'm trying to use a smooth cutting motion on the chalk, and I'm trying to cut as close to the line of the chalk as possible. So there's my body shapes. And now for my wing. If I wanted, I could make 4 different shapes for the wings. If I wanted to make a stuffed wing, that would mean then that I could join these 2 pieces together after they're decorated, stuff them, and then I could add them onto the body like so, which I may do later. Okay, so I'm going to position back my, I'm going to pin those together to keep them in place. And I'm going to put these pins in here, and I am then going to prepare some other pieces of felt. Now I've selected different shades of fabric. I could also have a contrasting wing colour here if I wished. However, I'm not at the moment. Now, so in my design, you can see here I have got different shapes for the wing. So I'm going to try and create those now. So I'm going to maybe show you a nice easy technique where I'm going to fold over my felt and I'm going to cut it in a matching shape to my wing, and I'm going to use my pattern for that. So I am going to do that like so. Okay. So you can see how a blunt scissors actually won't cut the felt at all. Now, so I'm now going to snip along this edge with my scissors to create a texture. Now, felt is quite good because it will not fray. So for this type of a project, it's really good as it won't distress. So that now along here will give a really nice fringed edge for a feather effect, like so. And then I might select a nice shade of embroidery thread here to stitch my two pieces of felt together. So I'm going to use this wide-eyed needle here, and it's got a sharp tip, and I'm going to select this deep orange color. This is Anchor brand embroidery floss, and it is 100% cotton, and it is one of the best embroidery flosses because it doesn't actually snag, and it will stitch smoothly through the felt. I'm using a mix of natural wool felt and synthetic felt. So you can see this is wool felt, and it has it's got a nicer kind of finish to it. And this felt is also a wool felt, but this pink here which is more shiny, that is actually synthetic polyester felt, and that may snag my threads, which if you have young people stitching for the first time, it is much better to get the better felt. It will just be easier in the long run. So I'm going to maybe get this wider-eyed needle for my embroidery floss, and I'm just flattening the tip, and I'm going to just thread my needle. So I'm now going to tie a knot on the back end of my thread, and I like to put 2 or 3 little knots in just to get things started nicely. So that's a sizable knot. Okay, now the blue thread here is not attractive, or the blue chalk, so I am actually going to turn it the other way around, like so. Okay, and I am now going to stitch from the back up through my wing, and I am going to try and get even spaced stitches. you can see with this synthetic felt how it's catching the thread. Now you can use regular thread as well, that will work fine for this. The embroidery floss is just nicer because it's a thicker type of thread and it's for embroidering with, and it allows you to do embroidery stitches at a later date. So I'm going to maybe fit 4 stitches in this section like so. Now, so there's 4 little stitches there. Now I'm going to use this darker shade to overlap and layer, and I am going to use my template again to draw over like so. And maybe this time I might fold the felt and perhaps I could cut triangle shapes out of the felt to give just a different texture for the bird's wing, like so. Because I folded it over in half, it came out somewhat symmetrical. And I'm going to try and stitch that there on top of the lighter colour pink. And again, I am going to use my needle to come up, and I'm going to do the same sort of stitch, but I'm going to change direction like so. And this is just the most simple form of stitching where it's going in and out, and it's literally just joining the 3 pieces of felt now together. And there is the back of my embroidery. Okay. Now, and then I have my red, and I could now perhaps just cut my red piece, and if I wanted I could do a rounded edge on this. Like so. And that can be positioned there. And I'm going to use my pin. You can see I have 4 layers now of felt, which is getting quite bulky, and I'm just going to pin that now together, and with my scissors I'm going to trim it away so that it matches the shape of the wing. Okay, I'll trim that little bit part away there. Okay, now I'm going to use my needle again to go in, and then I can do little small stitches all around the edge of the red. it's important to try and get the stitches as evenly spaced as possible. And you can use contrasting colored thread, or you can have matching colored thread, whichever you prefer. And I'm pretty much doing the same stitch here for the whole wing. I'm just changing the size of each stitch, or the length of each stitch is smaller or longer, or the direction has gone in a different way, which will give it a little bit of visual interest. As you can see, I jumped a bit far, so I'm going to go backwards, I think, here. Like so. And I'm going to say that that is a satisfactory result so far. And at the end here, I am going to tie off. So I'm going to put in my needle like so, and I am going to loop the thread 1, 2, 3 times around, and I'm going to hold my thumb and my forefinger over each other where the thread is, and I'm going to stitch through like this and through the loop of thread, and I'm going to pull like so, and that is going to create a little knot in the fabric, and that then can be trimmed away like so. And now I have from start to finish, and there's the back and there's the front of my wing. Now there you go. If I want, I can perhaps do some more stitches here along here to create the wing, and maybe some navy might be nice, where I could have some long pieces of navy thread, and I'll just put back my fringe like so, and I can use my orange thread to stitch the blue thread down. So I'll show you what I mean by that. So this is couching. That knot is a French knot. So there is my front piece of fabric or thread, and then I'm going to stitch the orange over it. And the orange thread is what is going to keep that navy thread in place. So I'm going to focus all of my decoration on the wing with different stitches. And if you remember from your color theory, orange and blue clash against each other, so that I know is going to give a nice sort of vibrancy, the orange against the dark navy, because they do clash against each other. but I'm just trying to get the stitches as close together as possible so that that's going to firmly hold down that navy thread. Now, if I want to create like a loop to make a feather effect like that, I can do that on the tip like so. I could also put a little bead on this thread to hold it in place as well. So I might match along here everywhere I have a little orange stitch. I can match it up like so. Now perhaps if I actually loop a couple of stitches, it might be better. If I'm running out of thread, I might go this way where I'm stitching down loops. Like so. Okay. And now I'm going to go from here like so, and then one more little stitch there. That'll hold that in place, and I might pull tightly on my couched stitch.